بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين وبعد. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد، وبارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. رب اشرح لي صدري يسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. اللهم انفعنا بما علمتنا وعلمنا انفعنا وزدنا علما يا رب العالمين. Alhamdulillah, we thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for giving us the tawfiq to, mashallah, come together and continue listening to the stories of the Quran and deriving many benefits and lessons from them, mashallah. And alhamdulillah, we have a very interesting topic that we've been doing since yesterday, which is the story of Dhul Qarnayn. And already it's an interesting story enough, but there are many lessons in there for people who are in leadership responsibilities or any roles in which they have to take care of others, right? And so Dhul Qarnayn is that example of that wali who has a responsibility, and he is showing us about how a person should be when they are given responsibility from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and how they can administer and take care of it. So inshallah, we are going to finish up. This is the part 2 of his journeys, right? We finished up 2 of his journeys last time. This is the 3rd journey we're going to do today, which is the wall that Dhul Qarnayn he builds, or rather calling it a dam will be better. But inshallah, we'll get there and then we'll discuss it. Okay, and we'll make it easy for all of us, inshallah. Okay, and I had to just quickly, because I completely forgot, so I just want to give us a reminder. So there was a part in Musa alayhi salam and Yusha alayhi salam's journey that I spoke about a couple of days ago. Just wanted to give a quick clarification for anyone. Was that it said that Yusha alayhi salam didn't know that the fish was there or not. It's most likely the case that he saw the fish jump out and he forgot to tell Musa alayhi salam. So I might have misspoken there and might have said that Yusha alayhi salam didn't know, but he definitely, like, because he said I forgot, right? So that means he knew and he forgot to remind Sayyidina Musa alayhi salam because of the journey and everything like that. As to how he forgot, exactly what he saw, Allah Ta'ala knows best, but he definitely forgot to tell Musa alayhi salam that the fish isn't there anymore. Okay, but that was just a side point. So let's get back to Dhul Qarnayn, inshallah. Allah to make it easy. Okay, so Dhul Qarnayn, like we spoke about yesterday, he heads to the west to spread Islam. Okay, his entire goal is to spread Islam, and he sees the sun setting into water, which becomes a muddy color, which we spoke about yesterday again, that people often get confused about that point, about seeing the sun set into muddy water. What does that mean, and things like that. And I spoke about it with quite some detail yesterday, and inshallah there will be some links for all of these lectures, inshallah ta'ala, for everyone to listen into and to get some insight throughout the year, inshallah. And I definitely will post them up as soon as they're available for everyone. Okay, so he sees the sun setting into water, which becomes a muddy color. So in summary, what happened was he takes the lesson. This is a lesson that Allah teaches him. Okay, so Allah says that he found the sun setting in the muddy water, which meant that this was his observation, what he realized at that moment. And so he took a very deep lesson from seeing the sun set into muddy water. Again, he's reached the end of the continent. He's reached as far as he can go west, and he saw the sun finally go into the horizon and set and disappear until the night, right? So he took the lesson that one day he and his own kingdom will disappear into the dirt. Okay, so and then while he's there, he finds people there and he establishes justice amongst them, and he makes another rule that he helps the Muslims on their path to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He says that we'll give them the da'wah of Islam. I can kill them all if I'd like. He has that much power. He can take them out and wipe them off the face of the earth. But instead of doing that, he decides to help them come towards Islam. And then giving them Islam, he says, and after they become Muslim, we'll help them on the way to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We'll make it easy for them to practice the deen. Okay, so Dhul Qarnayn goes to the east afterwards. And he goes to the east and he establishes justice there as well. So he goes west and then he goes east. When he goes to the east, he establishes justice there. He goes through painstaking efforts. Allah Ta'ala really summarizes or really captures the fact that he went through a lot of difficulty to get there. Because either on top of the mountains or in the middle of the desert, wherever it might be, there's a lot of effort that's involved and a lot of endurance, both physically and mentally and spiritually speaking. In every single way, he has to be ready to go into those environments. But he does it again for what? For the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay? So in terms of what he did in the West, he went as far as he could to spread da'wah there. And then he went to the East, and the Eastern journey shows us the level of commitment that Dhul Qarnayn has, that he's willing to go that far and that deep and to take that much effort to spread Allah Ta'ala's message. Okay? So this is a man who truly deserves the title of Khalifa. We're talking about someone who's a Khalifa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is definitely Dhul Qarnayn. is someone Allah Ta'ala, again, He put into the story of Surah Al-Kahf to show us the wali who has been given a responsibility from Allah, the Khilafah title, and how he's doing with it and how he's implementing it within the world. Okay, so now in terms of the Western job, he established justice there. We learned that he establishes justice wherever he goes. From the Eastern job, we saw how far and how committed he would be to get his job done. Okay, so that's what we learned from the East and the West. Now, in terms of his final job as a Khalifa, what he's supposed to do is what? Is that he's supposed to go and rid the world of corruption. Fasad needs to be taken away from the earth. Okay, that's why he took the third path here. ثُمَّ أَتْبَعَ سَبَبًا. Okay, so now I want everyone to remember that we talked about East and West when we talked about the other two journeys. When it comes to this journey here, it's something very unique. Allah describes it very differently in the Quran. It says, "Hatta إِذَا بَلَغَ بَيْنَ السَّدَّيْنِ," until he reached between the two mountains. The mountains are called barriers. Saddain. They're called two different barriers because they're blocking off something. Okay, they're blocking off something. You don't put a barrier up unless there's something you're trying to keep out. So Allah is really highlighting something really important, that there's something really terrifying within these mountains, which needs to be sealed off. Okay, so he reached between these Saddain. وَجَدَ مِن دُونِهِمَا, he found by them a people that are outside of the mountains, right? They're not inside that area. وَقَوْمًا لَا يَكَادُونَ يَفْقَهُونَ قَوْلًا. Allah says that they were people who were almost unable to understand anything that was said to them. They could not understand any speech whatsoever. Okay, and so they had a very difficult time understanding whatever language was spoken by Dhul Qarnayn, what his soldiers could speak, and they could not have an easy way of articulating or speaking to them. And this is very important to keep in mind because of the fact that Dhul Qarnayn is a leader of a very vast land. Okay, he's a very large empire. He knows many languages. He's well versed. He's very knowledgeable. And if he's not well knowledgeable, definitely he has interpreters. As interpreters will be doing the job. Okay, so now these interpreters are having a tough time speaking to these people. And it's very difficult. It's very taxing on them to try to get a message off, right? It's like speaking to someone who just came from a different country to America and then trying to get something, explain something to them, like what is baseball, how does baseball works? Like it's not like cricket, and then you confuse as heck, So that's basically the idea here, that they're trying to get some message across, but they can't get it through. Okay, they can't get it through. So Allah Subhanahu wa Taala in this section, you probably noticed, we don't know where they are. We don't know where they are. We don't know if they're on the east or on the west. We don't know if they're north or south. Okay, people would have a guess. They said they went north because, okay, if you went west and east, then there's only other either north and south, right? I'm like, okay, so what's the why would you say more north than south? Is because we're assuming things, okay? And Allah Subhanahu wa Taala did not tell us any details because He doesn't want us to focus on these details. Okay, don't get into that Surah Al-Kahf or the Ashab Al-Kahf mistake that we talked about in the beginning, that if you start focusing on details, you'll miss the point that Allah is trying to highlight here. So pay attention again to what Allah is trying to say, not what you and I are trying to speculate or think about. Okay, so Allah describes no point of reference here. We have no idea where they are. Okay, that's fine. We don't need to know. The people here cannot understand speech without immense difficulty. We just explained that. Okay, these are clearly indigenous peoples. Indigenous peoples means peoples that have, or a civilization that has no contact with the outside world. Basically, people who live in like mountains, or like you can think of people who live like in the Amazon. People that have no connection to the outside world. Okay, so now we're in an area where it's mountainous, right? There's between two mountains, right? And now we're around people that have very little connection with language. They don't know anything about civilization, like the way Dhul Qarnayn and them are so sophisticated and knowledgeable, right? And they have no way of communicating very well with them. So we're getting an idea that we're in a place that no one has been to before. People haven't been here before. Okay, that's the most important part in terms of location or geography or whatever. The most important thing that you and I need to know is that this place is somewhere where people normally do not get to go to. They have very limited access to. Dhul Qarnayn only got there because why? ثُمَّ أَتْبَعَ سَبَبًا. He was able to follow a path that Allah showed him to get there. So keep all those things in mind. Okay, this is not a normal land. This is not a normal land. So now Allah Subhanahu wa Taala says, the people said, قَالُوا يَا ذَا الْقَرْنَيْنِ. Okay, they said, "Oh, Dhul Qarnayn." Either they knew about him because of his fame, or rather they knew about him because they were speaking to him. Inna YAJUJ wa MAJUJ, the tribes of YAJUJ and MAJUJ. Okay, the tribes, Gog and Magog, which are known in their biblical name, right, are corruptors on the earth. Okay, they said, "Ya Dhul Qarnayn, inna YAJUJ wa MAJUJ mufsiduna fil ard." Okay, YAJUJ and MAJUJ. So for everyone that's listening, so they have an idea about who YAJUJ and MAJUJ is, right? because people probably think they're two different people. So I just want to clarify. I'm pretty sure, alhamdulillah, I hope Muslims do know, because it's one of our signs at the end of times. And this is like they say, it's a requirement of faith that people know and believe in that, in the sign of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay, so we're Yajuj and Majuj. The first thing is, of course, there are two tribes. Okay, one tribe, his name is Yajuj, the other one's name is Majuj. It has a Hamza. Okay, Yajuj and Majuj, and Yajuj and Majuj in a different Quran. Okay, the names have connections in terms of what their names mean. Okay, in terms of what their names mean, because I just want to focus on this because I find it very interesting. Okay, because their Arabic equivalents or cognates, right? Their Arabic equivalents are very interesting. Okay, the word Ajij, okay, the word Yajuj is used for the meaning of a fire which is burning. Okay, and you can see that a fire, it's like eating itself. You know, when a fire is like on a blaze, it looks like it's eating itself, like the flames are going all over. Okay, this is the word that's been used to describe the names of Yajuj and Majuj. What's another word? Maj. Maja yamuju, from mauj, which means from waves that are crashing into one another. So there's amwaj muttariba, right? There are waves that are hitting one another. So these are a people which Allah is describing like fire that is burning everything in sight, and waves which are crashing into each other because there's so many multitudes of them, so many people there. And the last word that we have a connection to is the word ajja. Okay, Ya'juj and Ma'juj both have the root in them. Ajja, which is the speed of flowing water. When water is coming racing down, crashing down like a flood or a torrent, that's the word that's also been used to describe the names of Ya'juj and Ma'juj. So keeping those things in mind, they are human beings. They're not jinns. They're not whatever other creatures, aliens or whatever. They're not. Okay, they're human beings. Because the way the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, when the Prophet ﷺ was explaining about the Day of Judgment, he tells the Sahaba radiyallahu anhu, he says, "Oh my Sahaba, on Qiyamah, Allah Ta'ala will send 1,000 people into the, if I remember correctly, Allah, was it I think it's 900. I think I wrote this wrong. I'm sorry. Astaghfirullah. Okay, so in any case, the Prophet said, I'll make sure I'll mention it today and then I'll correct it tomorrow. Okay, so the Prophet said that 999 people will be sent into the fire. I wrote it wrong here. Okay, 999 people will be sent into the fire. One person will be going to Jannah. Okay, or maybe it was 1,000. Allah, I gotta check it one more time, inshallah. Okay, in any case, so then the Prophet the main point is this: the Prophet said that 999 of them of Ya'juj and Ma'juj will be in the fire, and only one of you. Okay, so in other words, 999 of human beings, which are Ya'juj and Ma'juj, will be going to the fire Jahannam. And then the Prophet said, and one of you will be saved and going to Jannah. And I think that's the narration. I'll try to correct it, inshallah ta'ala. But the main thing that I'm trying to explain here is that the Prophet described them all as humans. The Prophet said, 1,000 humans will be going, and 999 of human beings will be in the fire, and one human will go to Jannah, right? And so then the Prophet ﷺ is basically saying, Ya'juj and Ma'juj are all humans. They'll be put in the fire Jahannam, and one human will be sent to Jannah, inshallah ta'ala. There's a lot of them, okay? The Prophet ﷺ gave the ratio here. The ratio is correct, and I'll correct if it's wrong, okay? 999 to 1. The Prophet ﷺ saying, for every human, basically, there's 999 of Ya'juj and Ma'juj. That's basically 1,000 per person. So now, there are narrations like this, okay? That each one of them fathers 1,000 children. Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu narrated, he said each one of them fathers about 1,000 children. Okay, just to show how many they are. Obviously, it's not gonna be exact. Like, okay, he counted. Like, okay, I have Majuj and Bajuj and Sajuj and Najuj, and because we all name our kids all the same last letters, right? Like Shakil and Wakil and whatever, right? So this is he has like 1,000 kids. No, it's an exaggeration to show how many kids they have. They have tons and tons of children, right? And the second thing that we learned, other than their names by the way. Ya'juj and Ma'juj mufsiduna fil ard. They create fasad. They are corrupters. And to get an idea about this, we're just going to take a sample from another place in the Quran. The Prophet, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says about Fir'aun that innahu kana minal mufsidin. Fir'aun is one of the corrupters. Okay? When Allah ta'ala is saying about the corruption that Fir'aun caused, and mind you, he killed children, like he killed thousands and thousands of babies and young infants. Okay? And he caused a lot of harm and damage to Bani Israel for years and years on end. Fir'aun is described in the Quran as innahu kana min al-mufsidin. He's just one of the corrupters, just one of them, one of the many. He is a corrupter, but he's just like an average NBA player. Like we're talking about basketball, right? Like an average player is like Fir'aun in terms of corrupters. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala described these guys as corrupters. They are corrupters. They are on the top level. They are the top 5 of corruption of people who cause corruption on the earth. Basically, what Allah is trying to say. So, in other words, Allah is saying each one of them of Ya'juj and Ma'juj is worse than Fir'aun. So you're talking about Fir'aun is just one person, and Ya'juj and Ma'juj has so many of them, and all of them are greater than Fir'aun in terms of the damage and corruption that they can cause on the earth. Okay, so this is just an example, an idea about what Allah is telling us about them. In just few words, Allah has captured a lot of things, a lot of things. So the scholars have gone out and saying, okay, let's figure out what the corruption was. So a lot of narrations are brought. I'm just giving you samples. There's a lot. There's a lot. From the corruption is what? Killing, obviously killing. And the fact that they destroy land. And the fact that they devour resources. They just eat and eat and eat. They don't stop consuming. They're heavy consumers. Okay, and another narration mentions that they're cannibals. That they're eating one another. They eat human beings. And it seems like a very logical argument to say that possibly they're eating each other behind the wall as well. But Allah Ta'ala knows best. Allah Ta'ala knows best. But this is a sample of what corruption and fasad are causing. Okay? And this is what's pushing these people to ask Dhul Qarnayn, seeing his army, and saying, Dhul Qarnayn, we haven't seen you before, we haven't met you before, but we really need your help. You look like a person that can really help us out here. So can you please, so should we assign a tax for you? They're asking, they said, can we make a tax? You can take money from us on the condition أَن تَجْعَلَ بَيْنَنَا وَبَيْنَهُمْ سَدًّا, that you can just make a barrier between us and them, because we cannot take it. Our community will be wiped out. We'll be destroyed. This community we have, the small nation we have outside of the mountains, we're not going to be able to do anything. YAJUJ is going to come and MAJUJ is going to come, and they're going to kill us and rip us apart. We need your help, Dhul Qarnayn. So they're begging him and asking for assistance here. So Dhul Qarnayn hears about the tax, okay? And he hears about this, and keep this in mind. If they're basically saying, if you're giving a tax to someone, we're coming under your control. No fight, no beef, nothing. We'll come under your power, whatever. Okay, we just want some help here. This is how desperate they are. These are people that live in the mountains. They're strong people, and anyone who lives in the mountainous areas, they probably know, they're probably well aware that if you're living in a mountain area, you're a strong guy, you're a beefy guy, you're a muscular guy, mashallah, And these people are powerful. Are again, just basically on the context, they seem like they're good. They're warrior-like people and soldier-like people. They're able to handle a lot. But now they're begging Dhul Qarnayn for help and assistance, because that's how much trouble they're in. So they're willing to come under control of some other king just so they can get rid of Dhul Qarnayn, get rid of Ya'juj and Ma'juj. Okay, this is like a smaller country asking for support from a superpower, and this is very common of today's time. The smaller countries will come under the banner of bigger countries to say that we have support of this country, so that way you don't touch us, you don't come near us. Okay, and usually what happens is that the smaller countries pay a tax. They provide certain weaponry, or they manufacture certain things, or whatever, for those bigger countries, right? So the bigger countries find like, okay, we can get some help, although we're really supposed to do this job anyways of helping you guys. It helps us out at the end to get some economic benefit. Okay, so this is what happens in today's time. Look at Dhul Qarnayn. Okay, look at Dhul Qarnayn. He says, "Ma makkanni fihi rabbi khair." He says, what my Lord has already given me in control is better. He says, I don't need your stuff. I don't need your money. I don't need your business. I don't need anything from you. Okay? He's literally telling them, he's saying that the Khalifa sees no business in this. He sees no profit in this. There's no benefit of economics, whatever. He only sees what? That I have to protect the world. You told me they're mufsiduna fil ard. Now I have a job here. I need to get rid of them. So his job is taking preference here. Protecting the world is not a business. Unfortunately today, in today's time, everything's about the economy, to the point that people are willing to open the economy in the risk of human lives. Okay, like this is how twisted human beings have become, that our money and our profit has become more important than human lives even. And so that's what we're seeing in our time. But Dhul Qarnayn knows and he recognizes that he's telling us that as human beings, as Muslims, you cannot put money over human beings and human lives. Okay, protecting the world is not a business. It's not something you can make money off of. So he's not looking to make money off of these people. Okay, and so a volunteer service for Deen should not be considered a form of, it should not be considered, it should have been written, should have not been taken as a form of payment. You should not take a payment for volunteer service. If you're doing it for Allah, you're doing it for Allah. Expect your reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's what Dhul Qarnayn is saying here. He's like, look, I don't need it. Allah has given me more than enough, and my Lord will provide, he'll pay me back. He will repay me. I don't need your payment here. So people, when they're doing khidmah of Deen, please do not be a person who says, all right, where's my pay? Where's my money? Where's my attention? Where's my fame? Where's everyone noticing me? You don't need these things. You don't need these things. Okay? May Allah give us all tawfiq and hidayah for this beautiful point that Dhul Qarnayn is teaching us. But then he goes and says, فَعِينُونِي بِقُوَّةٍ. Look, I'm not from this land. He says, look, I'm not from this land. I came out here for war. My soldiers are ready with like their armaments and their swords and shields and stuff. We're not ready to block anyone from anything, okay? So you need your support. I need your help with some power, and I shall make a dam, a radam between you and them, okay? They asked for a barrier. He says a dam, and we'll get there in a second. So he asked them, just look, give me some supplies and some manpower. I don't have any supplies. I don't have as much manpower that I need to handle this momentous and this enormous task right now, okay? So he teaches them. The Qarnayn is also teaching us that people should take care of their own problems. He's like, look, I need your help, okay? I'm not going to take care of it myself. You are people that have to take care of your own selves. So he says, look, I can assist you, but you're gonna be the ones who have to do the work, okay? So people should remember to take care of their own problems. This is a very deep point in Islam. As Muslims, we understand that everyone, the son should eventually get a job to not be a burden on his father, right? People are always looking to supply or work for themselves. We're not looking to take out any handouts from anyone, Alhamdulillah, we're happy we got the government like stipend and like a stimulus package, whatever. Alhamdulillah, I'm glad, free money is free money, But like, that's not like my life is not what I'm waiting for people to hand things to me, I'm doing things on my own. I have to do things on my own. The Prophet ﷺ said so beautifully. He said that the most tayyib of rizq is what? The most pure of rizq is what? That a person work with their own hands. Okay? And then the Prophet said, وَكَانَ دَاوُودُ يَعْمَلُ بِيَدِهِ. That Dawood alayhi used to work with his own hands. He's a king of everyone, and he still worked for himself. So Dhul Qarnayn is teaching us this here. Okay? And he's going to help in the project. He's a leader, and a leader should assist. That's the job of a leader. He doesn't just say everyone else is going to work and I'm going to sit on my butt and just going to watch everyone do everything. No, he goes and does things himself too. That's the job of a leader. If people are wearing masks, I think I should wear a mask too. Like he's going out of his way to make sure that I'm there with you. I'm part of you. Okay? So we're learning all these leadership qualities. And the most important quality out of everything we talked about is this last part. When they asked him for a sad, which is a barrier. Okay? They asked for a barrier. Just a wall. He said, no, I'll give you radam. I'll make a radam for you. The word radam is used for a dam, okay? It's used to describe the hair on the back of a lion's mane. You know how hairy that part is? You can't see the lion's neck, right? It's so thick. They asked for just a sad. A sad is just an ordinary barrier, like the partitions we have in the masjid, for example. Very, very light partition, not a very strong partition. He's asking basically for the wall that Trump wanted. He's gonna make that for them. Like what he was thinking in his mind, now actually came out in reality. That would be closer to sad, and he's making radam, mashallah. Okay, so he's going out of his way to make a dam, which is ihsan. When a Muslim is told or asked to do something, he's not just gonna do what people tell him. He's gonna see how can I take this project and make it over and above. He's always looking to become the most excellent in what he's doing. That's what a Muslim should be designed or trained to do. I'm not just going to do bare minimum. I'm not just going to pray my fard. I want to make my sunnah nafil. I'm going to So he says, Atuni zubar al-hadid. He says, bring me big pieces of iron. This is the help that he wanted. Okay? That he needed them to bring all these equipment, these supplies for him. I'm sorry, I just cut off right now. Allah to protect inshallah. Okay, so we'll continue. I'm so sorry. Okay. Let me just spell up the part presentation again. Okay. All right. Okay. So he asked them for so he said, Atuni zubar al hadid. He says, bring me big pieces of iron. Okay. This is the help that he required. And so hatta idha sawa bayna as-sadafain. Okay. So then he orders the people, he instructs them. And Allah subhanahu does this all, if you're looking in terms of the Arabic, it's all in the singular. Okay, what is the difference here? You can speak in the plural saying that because they brought all the stuff and they leveled it, and then they did this and they did that. But in reality, Allah just says He is doing all these things, right? Because everything's working the way Dhul Qarnayn wanted to work. Okay, and this is a very important point. If you remember what we talked about yesterday, that Dhul Qarnayn is someone who all of his asbab, all of his means work together as one. Okay, so that's why Allah Ta'ala says when he leveled up the gap between the two cliffs. So now the top of the mountains has been described as cliffs. Okay, so it's either that he worked from one side. Okay, he worked from one side and he stacked up all this iron, right? These blocks of iron on one side of the mountain. Okay, and or it could have been that if he had to block off both sides, because if it's a mountain that's if it's it could be that it's like a mountain that's connected on the other side, right? So it only had one opening, like kind of like a mouth. It looks like a mouth. So you had to close off the mouth of the mountain. Or it could have been that both sides were open from both sides, right? So it's like more like a path. So he put like iron on both sides to block off both ways, right? So he placed the chunks of iron in the area between the two mountains. Okay, so he's covering up the mouths or the entrances of both areas, or just the front area, right? Allah Ta'ala knows best again. I personally think that it was that the mountain is actually connected. Okay, so one side is connected and the other side is open. And Yajuj and Majuj actually kind of live in that little like cave area. Okay, they live in like a small little cave area. So the mountain is actually connected on the other side, and it just opens up like a mouth. And so what Dhul Qarnayn needs to do is cover up the mouth, and he's covering it with iron and chunks of iron in the area. Okay, so and he reaches the cliffs of the mountains, meaning what? He stacked it very high. It's not just a small little wall he's making, not the Trump-size wall, right? He's making a huge actual thing that will block people out. Okay, not even like Wall of China type of thing. This is a proper wall he's made all the way up to the top of the mountain. Okay, it's a huge wall he's made here. Okay, so he stacked all these blocks all the way up to the top of the mountains. Okay, then he said qalan fuhu. Okay, so now they started to heat it up. Okay, and it's mentioned about people who are civil engineers and they study in terms of like designing walls and making houses and stuff like that. They know how much foundation is required and all these things. So he's doing a lot of work. They're digging out the ground. They're making foundation because it has to stand, right? It has to hold. So he's doing a lot of things with these people, and he's commanding them and telling them. And so finally, when the bottom is heated and everything is up to that melting point where the iron will start to melt, he starts to say qalan fuhu. He says to blow into it. So they start to blow in it, right? And they're all blowing. And these are like hundreds and hundreds of people. This is a huge wall covering a very long spot, entrance of a mountain pass, right? So they're all blowing into this wall and blowing to the point that the iron starts to melt, right? It starts to melt. And so it becomes really fiery until it becomes like a blazing fire. If you saw it, you would have thought that this was the fire of Ibrahim alayhi salam. Okay, that's how big this fire looked like. Okay, it was a blazing project. It was a blazing project, very fiery. Okay, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and I explained this before, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is showing us from this one ayah, because you and I thought about it. I'm like, why is Allah telling me all this construction project? There are a lot of wisdoms behind it. One of them is that Fir'aun, when he needed to build a tower, he tells Haman to do it. Haman, you take care of it. Here we find Dhul Qarnayn actually involved, because the leader should be involved in the project, right? Another benefit is what? How Allah is showing us how everything works together for Dhul Qarnayn. I told you how Allah Ta'ala makes everything to one sabab, one means. Everything just works together so well. These are people he's never met before, people he's not ruled before, people that don't know him. But you can see how obedient they are, how well they're working together, and they're so dynamic together, and they're making something enormous, something extraordinary, something that's never been seen in all of history, and probably will never be seen till the end of times, about some type of amazing, powerful structure that Dhul Qarnayn is making here. And all without Yajuj and Majuj noticing, which is the most ajib thing to me. Either, it could have been, it's probably both of these things, but either it's because Allah is protecting Dhul Qarnayn, again, bringing all the means together, that whatever he wants to do, Allah is allowing him to fulfill it, or just because Yajuj and Majuj aren't the smartest people in the world. And I really think it's both. They're not very smart, I admittedly so. I'm not saying this to degrade them or do ghibat of them or that they'll go come and kill me, to save us, protect us, So he said, after that, he said, آتوني زبر الحديد حتى إذا ساوى بين الصدفين قال انفخوا حتى إذا جعله نارا قال آتوني أفرغ عليه قطرا. He says, bring me molten copper and I will pour it upon this. Okay, so now the entire wall is melting, right? It's iron that's melting. Okay, it's basically covered up the entrance to the mountain. And Yajuj and Majuj cannot get near it. If this is being built and the fire has been taken out, at this moment Yajuj and Majuj are probably looking at it and they can't do anything about it. Why can't they do anything about it? Because it's on fire. Okay, it's too hot to get near. So they're just watching this happen in front of them, and they can't do anything about this. Okay, and so now he goes and says, "Bring me molten copper." So he gets up on top of the mountains, and he says, "I'm going to pour the molten copper onto it." Okay, so he creates a structure between iron and copper. Okay, and this is something that I just found as an interesting point. Copper is added to some steel alloys in low levels up to a few percent. Again, he's adding a little bit of copper here, a few percent, you could say, of copper to improve corrosion resistance, to reduce the fact that it won't like erode, or it won't like get weaker, right? It won't get weaker with time, or to increase strength through precipitation hardening. Is that the copper and the iron will mix together, and the copper will strengthen the iron, and the iron will strengthen the copper. It will become an even stronger wall because of these two things being added together. Okay, and on certain structural grades that will be exposed to outside weather, copper is believed to provide some protection against rust, because he knows this wall needs to stay outside, right? So it needs to take the wind, it has to take the rain, it has to be able to battle the outside world. So it's able to handle this, or handle the outside world very well because of the materials that it's made out of. Okay, that's why they say that it's better to add copper for some iron, some iron projects, but it's not for everything, which is a very interesting point. Mashallah, like Allah Ta'ala really, he's guiding Dhul Qarnayn throughout this project. Okay, so their enemies, Allah Ta'ala says, so finally when the wall has been poured on it, when copper has been poured onto it, and now it looks like it's on, when copper is poured on, it creates this brown color, right? Again, it looks like fire. When you're looking at copper being poured onto iron, it looks like fire. It's crazy. The YAJUJ and MAJUJ are looking from the inside, and they can't do anything about it. The enemies, they could never scale it, and they could definitely never ever pierce it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says they'll never be able to scale it. They'll never be able to climb it. Okay, there's no other way to get around it. The walls of the mountains were too high, and the wall that's in front of them is way too high. So they can try to climb it, but it's too slippery to get above. Okay, they can't actually get a grip on it to get on top of it. Okay, and they don't know how to get around it. If they were to, if it does have an opening on the top, Allah Ta'ala knows best. But if it has an opening on the top, what's going to happen is YAJUJ and MAJUJ cannot come down without dying. Okay, so they don't know how to come down after climbing the mountain, after climbing the barrier. Okay, and in terms of piercing it, they're not able to do it for another reason, so which we'll get to it. Okay, so this was a miraculous project. After listening to this, you and I should probably tell ourselves, like, yeah, I don't know if anyone could ever do that. Like, literally place the iron. What you do is what? You produce it in a factory, and then you bring it there, and then you place it in the area, right? Or to build it from ground up like that, and then making all these people start to blow underneath the fire and to increase the flames, right? Increase the heat, and then bring the copper on top of it, and all these things all coming together without YAJUJ and MAJUJ even being able to do anything about it. This is clearly a miracle. Okay, I want everyone to know that this was a miracle. Okay, because this wall is clearly not normal. That's what I'm saying about no one in human history can ever produce something like it again. Because he says, Dhul Qarnayn, after saying all of this stuff, after building it and preparing it, and YAJUJ and MAJUJ are banging on the side, screaming and yelling and shouting, telling it, let us out, let us out. He's saying, Hada rahmatun min Rabbi. He said, this is a mercy from my Lord. He said, this is a mercy from my Lord. This is what pushed a lot of scholars, okay? This is what pushed a lot of scholars to say, by the way, that this is one of the strongest proofs that Dhul Qarnayn was a prophet, okay? Because there's no way he could have known this. Then when the promise of my Lord will come, he will make it level to the ground. The promise of my Lord is true. He would not know the promise of his Lord unless he knew the future. And if you know the future like that, you are definitely a prophet, okay? Now the only other explanation is that Dhul Qarnayn has a prophet with him that's informing him of this, which is also possible. I'm not denying that, okay? But Allah Ta'ala knows best. This man was clearly prophetic in his actions, mashallah, okay? So now he goes and says that when my Lord's promise will come, he says, you're looking at this and being amazed of how strong it is, how sturdy it is, how well developed it is, how well refined it is. You're so amazed by it. But when my promise of my Lord comes, when Allah Ta'ala's wa'ada comes, that's it. It's going onto the ground. جَعَلْهُ دَكَّةً. It'll smash into smithereens. Okay? وَكَانَ وَعْدُ رَبِّي حَقًّا. He says, the promise of my Lord is true. وَتَرَكْنَا بَعْدَهُمْ يَوْمَئِذٍ يَمُوجُ فِي بَعْدٍ. And he says, and on that day, we'll leave them surging over one another. Allah Ta'ala uses the word yamuju because they're YAJUJ and MAJUJ. Alright, so they surge over one another. They're like waves. So right now, Allah Ta'ala is saying, right now, till this day, these people are surging one another like waves on one another. People are jumping on each other, screaming and shouting and fighting and arguing, and all these things are happening behind the wall. Okay, and YAJUJ and MAJUJ are climbing each other, trying to get over this mountain, unable to do so. And the horn, وَنُفِخَ فِي الصُّورِ فَجَمَعْنَاهُمْ جَمْعًا. And Allah says, and when the horn will be blown, we shall gather them all together. So the Prophet ﷺ, he gives us a glimpse. He tells us what's happening on the other side of the wall. He says the dam of YAJUJ and MAJUJ. He woke up one time. The Prophet ﷺ woke up one time. He was with his wife Zainab radiallahu anha. And he looked so startled and worried. Zainab radiallahu anha asked and said, Ya Rasulullah, what's wrong? The Prophet said, Wailul in Arab. He said, destruction is coming for the Arabs, right? He said, destruction is coming for the Arabs. Then he said that the dam of YAJUJ and MAJUJ, the barrier that's been placed between them and us has been opened like this. Then the Prophet made a circle with his fingers. The Prophet said it's been opened a little bit, okay? And so this is indicating that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the day is coming where Allah ta'ala will open up the dam completely to allow YAJUJ and MAJUJ to exit completely from the barrier that they're inside. Okay, every day, it's hadith of Tirmidhi, that every day they claw at the dam. Every day they're working at the dam to try to get through it, but they're not able to do so. They come every morning and find it stronger than yesterday. That's what I'm saying about this. People are assuming this is a normal human project. It's not a normal human project. None of the end of time signs are normal. The beast that's coming out of the ground, are you really trying to understand how that makes sense scientifically? You know, the sun rising from the west. Like, there's so many, like, you know, again, there are theories. But when Allah Ta'ala wants to bring down a sign, you're not going to be able to explain it. These are miracles for a reason. You get what I'm saying? YAJUJ and MAJUJ are miracles of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, and the wall is a miracle of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. Keep that in mind. So every day they come and they find it stronger than yesterday. This is how strong this wall is. They're coming and they're digging, and then they find it that's actually becoming more robust and stronger than what they found the day before. Until finally someone says, so they claw it and claw it and claw it every single day. And then finally, and every day they say, an angel has been appointed amongst them, a chieftain amongst them as a chief. And the angel tells them that, don't worry, we'll finish the work tomorrow. Okay? And so now every day this continues and happens. And YAJUJ and MAJUJ come every day to do this. And before they're able to pierce through and go through the wall, the angel comes and says, we'll finish it tomorrow. We'll finish it tomorrow. And so then they go to sleep, they wake up, and Allah fixes the wall again. And YAJUJ and MAJUJ, again, not the smartest people in the world, right? So they come up to the wall and they're like, okay, better start again. So they start doing it again. And then the angel goes again and says, all right, we'll finish it tomorrow. And so then this happens for every single day since Dhul Qarnayn's time to our time, to the day where finally the angel will go and say that, inshallah, tomorrow we'll finish it, taking the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Keep in mind, Surah Al-Kahf. Surah Al-Kahf is about a surah which Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam forgot to say inshallah. Just putting it out there. Amazing, you know. So now finally when they say inshallah, the next day they will come and find that it was like the day before, meaning that the hole that they made the previous day is still there. So they're able to claw at it more and finally dig through it and finally come out to the people. Okay? And so the emergence of YAJUJ and MAJUJ happens. Then the people whom Allah Ta'ala had protected from Dajjal, the Muslims had just finished in terms of what YAJUJ and MAJUJ missed, right? They missed coronavirus, they missed the economic depression, whatever, they missed recession, whatever, they missed everything, right? They come out when Dajjal has just been defeated by Isa alayhi salam. Then Isa alayhi salam will come to his Sahaba and he wipe over their faces and say, then this is your rank in Jannah. Okay? He's getting them ready because someone else is coming out right now. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Allah says to Isa alayhi salam, O Isa, I have brought forth from among my servants such people against whom none will be able to fight. You take these people safely to Mount Tur. He says, take the believers to Mount Tur, keep them in there, because right now no one's going to be able to survive. Okay, so now the Muslims go and hide. The Muslims that are left with Isa go and hide in the mountains. And so what happens is the rest of the world still has non-believers or non-Muslims. Okay, and at that moment, YAJUJ and MAJUJ come up, and they will swarm from every single slope. Okay, and they will pass by the lake of Tabariya, the Tiberias lake, and they'll drink out of it. And there's a huge lake. Okay, I wish I could bring a picture right now. I apologize for not being able to bring it. And then when the last of them passes, all of them drink from this lake. And they would say there was once water there. They drink up, they swallow the entire lake. That's how many people there are. Okay? Again, these are thousands upon thousands, if not millions, if not billions. Allah Ta'ala knows best how big of a number they are. Okay? And then they will start killing. They'll start killing. So they will kill and kill and kill until they would say that we killed everyone on earth. They will murder and massacre as many people as they can. Okay? And then finally, when they kill everyone on the earth, they go and say, now let us kill those in the skies. So they launch an arrow, they fire an arrow into the sky, and it will return with blood as a trial for them. So the sky, they will shoot into the sky, and then Allah will put blood onto the arrow, and it will come down to the ground, and they will say that we killed everyone in the sky now. So they think they're the most victorious people on the earth. And at the end of Yajuj and Majuj, which is a very ajib reminder to us that we as Muslims, we have to recognize, inshallah, I'll just take a couple more minutes, inshallah, almost done, okay? Yajuj and Majuj, we have to recognize that, Isa alayhi salam is able to wipe out Dajjal. The Muslims are probably feeling really happy. But the end of Muslims and the end of like all of life, and the solution for all of life on earth is that people need to make dua. So Isa alayhi salam and his companions will be sieged inside the mountain of Tur, and they'll be so scared. Then Allah Ta'ala will tell Isa alayhi salam, and Isa alayhi salam and his companions will raise his hands and make dua and say, Allah, please, Ya Allah, save us from Ya'juj and Ma'juj. Because the end of humanity and end of all existence is what? That into this world we came through a dua of Adam alayhi salam, Rabbana zalamna anfusana. And the end of the world, the end of all Muslims in the world will be what? That they'll make dua to Allah, Ya Allah, save us from Ya'juj and Ma'juj. It's a very beautiful way Allah is showing that in the beginning you needed me, and at the end you always need me. You always need Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May Allah give us that connection with Him. So now Allah sends down insects to them, Ya'juj and Ma'juj. These people have been behind a wall for, I don't know, Allah knows best how long, right? They are completely dirty and filthy, okay? They are disgusting, okay? So at this moment, they really need some help here. So finally, Isa alayhi salam makes dua, and then finally Allah sends down birds which will eat up the bodies of Ya'juj and Ma'juj. Then Allah will send down rain, which no house or clay or tent of camel hair keeps out, and it will wash clean the earth until it looks like a mirror. The earth will be brought out to become its pure, pristine form again. Where all the people that love nature and they love the environment, they were so worried about what's happening to the earth. The earth will be restored at that moment. Then the earth will be told to bring forth its fruit and restore its blessings. All the blessings will come back, inshallah ta'ala. Okay. So now the final thing that I want to, and Allah ta'ala give us, if we're there, subhanAllah, Allah ta'ala give us that beautiful sight, to see that. May Allah allow us to survive it, if we have to go through it. In terms of where they are now, I explained before that the surah's main message is about avoiding asking unnecessary questions. We should be very careful about mentioning things which, or asking about certain things that have no actual ilmi benefit, right? There's no benefit in terms of knowledge, right? And so you'll notice that with the people of the cave, right? Asking about how many people were there, asking how was the dog, right? Or the story of Musa alayhi salam, how was the fish? These types of questions are completely irrelevant in terms of what Allah actually wants us to derive or obtain from the story. So we have to be very careful about asking these types of questions. And then the second thing is that, about Musa alayhi salam, Khidr alayhi salam, we notice the issue about asking questions about destiny, right? Because there's only so much we can understand. And because we don't have all the facts, but the thing about Musa alayhi salam, Khidr alayhi salam was, once we got all the facts, everything just made sense. But the thing is that we don't have all the information right now. We don't have all the information right now, so this causes us to become restless about why is Allah doing it? Why is Allah not doing? These types of questions come up because we don't know. But if we knew, then we'd understand the same thing, right? So we're also speculating here. So we have speculation about Ashabul Kahf, and we speculate about destiny as well. Now I want everyone to understand is that Allah's knowledge is supreme. Where He's kept the Ya'juj and Ma'juj is completely up to Him. Okay. What we understand is that these were people that were put behind the wall, and what we understand is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through the story has given us something really interesting. The interesting point is this: is that in the same way Allah ta'ala concealed the people of the cave, okay, there's no reason why you cannot do so for Ya'juj and Ma'juj. That's why I want everyone to understand is that, again, we look at the surah together in tandem, right? The entire surah together. And so we find that the first story was about people who went off into a mysterious area and they vanished, right? And then we find Ya'juj and Ma'juj kind of be the same thing too. And I don't think they're any different in terms of the context in that regard, okay? So if He provided for sleeping people without food and drink for 300 plus years, could He not do the same for millions awake, right? And so the question that people often have is okay, where is this wall? Where is Ya'juj and Ma'juj? There should be millions of people now, and they should be somewhere. And my humble answer to them is that, look, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the same way He concealed the people of the cave, and the same way, Allah ta'ala was bending space, and I don't think people actually fathom that. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was bending the sun around the cave, right? So the people of the cave could not wake up, which is a very beautiful way Allah is showing us that the people of the cave were taken out from time and space. Similarly, Ya'juj and Ma'juj are taken out from time and space in that regard as well. So if we have, there was this one sheikh that said that people have, they fall into huge doubts of Iman because they can't find out where Ya'juj and Ma'juj are. And my thing is that, La ilaha illallah, if Ashabul Kahf were kept alive for 300 years, Well, you don't have any doubt about that. Why are you having doubt about this? Allah Ta'ala can decide, right? And so we'll notice that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala just doesn't want them to be found. We'll figure them out. We'll find it out, inshallah, when Allah Ta'ala wants us to be. And that will happen near the end of times, of course. Okay? And so just some quick similarities between Ashabul Kahf and Yajuj and Majuj to get some idea about what I'm trying to say here. Is that Ashabul Kahf was a group that disappears. Yajuj and Majuj were also a group that disappeared. Okay? Yeah, Ashabul Kahf, they went into seclusion. Right? Yajuj and Majuj were forced into isolation. So Ashabul Kahf went into a cave themselves. Yajuj and Majuj were like forced into a cave. Okay, they vanished for lifetimes, Ashabul Kahf, and Yajuj and Majuj also vanished for lifetimes. Okay, and Ashabul Kahf again disappeared into time and space. Yajuj and Majuj also disappeared into time and space. There's like a lot of theories today about like certain dimensions that people can exist in. And I'm just gonna go a little Star Trek-y, a little sci-fi, Star Wars-y right now, right? But just there are pocket dimensions, right? And one of the good answers that a physicist had given for Ashabul Kahf was that they existed in a pocket dimension that Allah Ta'ala created. And so being in that dimension, they were able to be away from the quote unquote time and space of our existence. And so being in that area, they were able to be saved, right? Yajuj and Majuj are probably in the same exact way. Allah Ta'ala kept them there. And I found like a lot of people trying the hardest and finding weird explanations for what happened to Yajuj and Majuj. Another question we have, just to put out there is like Dajjal, where's Dajjal? Where's Dajjal? Are you going to say, oh, he doesn't exist, he's actually amongst us now, and the Yajuj and Majuj genes are amongst people, and they're in like Russia, and we get weird answers when you try to go away from the text of the Quran. Okay, the best thing to say that the same way Allah Ta'ala protected Ashabul Kahf, the same way He is shielding our eyes away from Yajuj and Majuj. Maybe they're existing in another dimension right now, and when the time comes, Allah Ta'ala will release them. Okay, and millions of people will sprout out of nowhere. Allah Ta'ala knows best at the end of the day. So Ashabul Kahf will return when Allah Ta'ala willed, and Yajuj and Majuj will return when Allah Ta'ala wills. Right? Okay. So in any case, mashallah, that's the last thing I really wanted to cover about about Dhul Qarnayn.